All right, guys, hold on. We're letting everyone in, so just give us a sec. All right. All right. Hold on, there's a bunch of you.
Okay. They're not open until Monday.
Thank you so much, baby.
Wait, I realized I have that. Yeah.
All right, until we get everyone in here. Hi. If you could just turn off your speaker, whoever else is talking, there's some background going on. Oh, we got a lot of you. All right. I'm just going to give a minute because everyone's still chiming in, okay? I'm pretty casual. I do not do much of PowerPoints or anything. I pretty much just talk. It's my best way to, just dial in here. And I'm not my best today, so I'm sorry if I sound so nasally. Don't worry, I don't have COVID. But just, I think it's pretty relevant just to talk about everyday stress, which is definitely what I'm dealing with. This is what is causing a lot of these long-term problems. People don't talk about that. So we're going to talk about that today. What stress actually does to your body. I'm not a doctor, but I do have a lot of friends in medical, and I have a lot of experience with, my own just dealing with some things. And I happen to have had a lot of autoimmune people reach out to me. For some reason, I attract that. So it seems to be something that people want to hear from me. And I do have some family members that have some autoimmune and some kind of interesting disease-like things that have shared with me, just, some basics on what they feel and what they've experienced. And some of them have tried oils and some of them haven't. So it's not just an oil class. We're talking mostly about like your mentality here and the type of lifestyle that is needed to keep us, long-term okay. And then there's heartache, of course, and that is probably the most overlooked disease. I wouldn't say it's a disease, but it's a pain that causes so many other things that we don't talk about. And it's often the root right there. And we don't even know that we're still hurting inside from, it's not even sometimes our lover. It could be parents. It could be just society in general. Okay, but there's some chakras and there's some light healing that we can talk about too. Okay, I'm gonna give everyone a minute. Let me just say goodbye to my kids. My mom's taking my kids from me, okay? 1 sec. Thank you. Bye. Bye, Mom. All right. Just grabbing some oils for you. Okay. All right, guys. Looks like everyone got in who wanted to be here, and we are recording this for later, okay? First things first. Does anyone know why we get sick? I mean, obviously I've got a cold myself right now, but what is it that actually, not just the bug, right? Not just the little particles in the air, but what is it about our body that allows us to get sick sometimes and not other times? You guys can just chime out. No one know? Okay. So our immunity has to be down, right? We naturally are strong and our body is amazing. We are built to be able to handle things in ways that we didn't think we could. And anyone who's birthed a child, you know that that is true. Our bodies are beyond what we think they are. We don't know what they're capable of until they're put to the test. So getting sick is not something that is supposed to be part of our norm. And it usually happens in patterns, if you notice, right? Obviously, if you have little kids and they're exposed to a lot of things and they're bringing home all kinds of things all the time. But also, what is it about having children that suddenly makes you notice all the colds? Or what is it about when you are sick that is different than when you're not? Times in your life that you're not getting sick, it's usually what? You have a lot more sleep, you have a lot more nutrition, you're living a lifestyle that is way less stressful. So even if it is maybe, in your early 20s, you're out, having a ball at night and partying and whatever, you probably weren't thinking about all the things that stressed you out, right? Hence, you weren't getting as sick or you wouldn't notice it as much. Also, if you're not paying for other people and you have less bills, right, then you can eat that beautiful organic salad and have no fear that it costs $25 or whatever it is, right? So you're not thinking about prices when you're the only person in your life and you don't have a mortgage and so forth. And then as time goes on and you have more responsibilities, the stress starts to build. You start to what? Take away from your own nutrition palette because you're more concerned about other things. So you start what? Pulling back, holding back on giving to yourself. And things that are actually really good for you, you kind of take out the door, right? We start cutting out gym memberships, or we just we don't have time for yoga, or we don't have time to sleep in that extra hour because we got to get up and we got to make dinner or whatever, right? We got to get ready for work. So as the demands of our life, right, have increased, we're actually giving less to our bodies and less to our mind that help us sustain those demands, which is pretty backwards. Yes, but it's almost impossible for a lot of us who live in paycheck to paycheck, right? Especially after COVID. Okay, so how are we going to allow your body to replenish itself? Because if you actually look at what the body can do, it is made to repair itself. It is made to recover. It is made to tell you what it needs. Yes. Your body doesn't need to have a lot of extra stuff going into it naturally if you already have it already in your life, right? What's happened to our food supply though? Our food has been diminished in its nutrition. And sorry, that is a child, or that is hi. Oh, you don't have keys? My mom needs my keys. 1 minute. Thank you. That's my help today. It's my mom. Okay, so what is it that used to be in our food? And you can find this. I mean, what is it that refined foods do? They do a lot less for your body. They fill you up, but they don't have nearly as much nutrition in it, right? And prior to our industrial life, we used to what? Make it all ourselves. We used to, take a lot more time to bake our bread. We used to actually go to our garden. We used to have to trade. Our meats were fresh from the rancher next door. They weren't shipped over miles and, had any kind of preservatives or anything in it, right? So things have changed where our food source, it takes longer to get to us, so it's put in some things to keep it, sustained. Also, the way that it's processed, it's stripped of a lot of the nutrition by the time it gets to us. And then what else? A lot of it is we don't know always where it comes from, and it might not even be grown in the soil that has that same nutrition palette that once we used to have. Okay, so for example, in Hawaii, prior to sugarcane fields, the soil was way more dense with nutrients. And then once sugar came and pineapple kind of kept stripping those same plots of land, now anyone who, or not now, but if you notice in the 90s, a lot of people try to buy out and grow. A lot of farmers are trying to grow in those plots, and they had to really replenish with nutrition. They couldn't just grow anything again. It was stripped. It was completely stripped of its nutrition. Okay, the land becomes the land becomes very tired and depleted if you just keep working it over and over again with things that it's not that was not the way that nature intended. It wasn't intended to just have these plots of field continuously. Okay, so if you don't have as much nutrition, think about what's actually going into your food. You're not getting as much nutrition into the food, and if you're not getting as much nutrition into the food, and then it's getting processed, or it's taking time to come to you, or it's being mixed with other things, by the time it gets to you, it's really not at its prime level of nutrition. It's not really giving to you all the things it's supposed to give to you. Okay? Hence, our bodies are not starting at our prime level. Okay? So definitely, if you haven't heard about the supplements already, which I'm sure you have, looking at the supplements, the ones that doTERRA has, you can trust that they do not have additives in there. You can trust that they are well tested by all of us. We all take them. Everyone on the team that's your uppers, we all take the supplements and they work. Some other things you might not know, though, that are additional supplements are things like the GX Assist, okay? So a probiotic is super essential to help your system clean out. And a probiotic, that can be yogurts, that can be probably it can be a yogurt, it can be your mushrooms, it can be the, oh goodness, kombucha, right? It's anything that's alive culture that is helping your flora down there to actually do its job. Basically, that's what we need to do. We need to teach our body how to do its job, and we need to give it the tools to take charge of what it already can do, right? So it's just like giving birth. I'm just going to compare that since we're all women here. I can't see any men at the moment. Your body, when you start to have a baby, it kicks in. It knows what to do. Okay, you don't have to teach it to, you don't have to worry about, oh no, how do I make the milk happen? It's going to happen. Your milk on your own is going to happen. Everything gets triggered. Your natural instinct to be with your baby and screw the world, that comes over like a drug. Like there is something in you that turns on and you cannot stop it. And that is what your body does, right? You've got these cells that are made to do a certain thing. They're made to save you. They're made to protect you. They're made to drive you, to get you in that survival state, right? That's why sometimes adrenaline rush, you can somehow, you don't know how you've done it, but you've made that 24 hours work in a way that you've never been able to do before, because your body knows how to do it. Your body does know how to kick in and take over and take charge, but it has to have enough fuel. If you don't have enough fuel for your body, the engines won't go. Okay, so I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to tell you I can fix your autoimmune disease, but for those of you who just need some help, there's some things that you can actually do to help. So some people have allergies, and if you have an allergy to something, well, then that one's going to be a hard one to address right away. But the best thing to do for your allergy is to first detox and clean out your system. Okay? Same thing with any disease. If you are having a problem where your body cannot handle what's happening, detoxing and cleaning out your system is going to help to at least get out whatever is bothering you so you can start fresh. Okay, and then it can help you kind of figure out, as from that point A spot, okay, if we add B, nope, that didn't work. Add C, nope, that didn't work. But if you don't have a clean palette to start from, you're not going to even know how to, replenish your system. So that's why I'd say if you're not already taking a probiotic, doTERRA's is awesome, but I would suggest starting with this. This is the GX. Okay, this is kind of strong. The reason is it has oregano in it. It's got, let me just read off what's in here. There is oregano, tea tree, lemon, peppermint, lemongrass, thyme leaf. There's also, let's see. Okay, so the rest is just the actual capsule gel. But that alone, just oregano and thyme, if you know anything about herbs, these are some of the strongest herbs for killing off bacteria and actually viral support. Oregano is kind of the all-natural antibiotic, and thyme does a lot of that too. Thyme actually is one of the best things to use on your garden for anti-pest because it helps with parasites, it helps with bacteria, well, anything that's invasive. Okay, so environmental invasive. So you're putting this straight into your gut. This is going to help to, well, make you go doo-doo. Okay, but you want to get all that out. And you want to be taking this maybe 1 to 2 times a day, depending if you can handle. Okay, so I take it 2 times a day when I really want to cleanse. If you can only handle 1 time a day, that's fine. I'd say take it in the morning. And then at night, instead of doing this, you could do something like Zendocrine or put some lemon. Okay, so this is what it looks like, a black beet. You can't taste these if you swallow this with water. They're pretty small. So you'll be okay. If you bite into it, it's going to be a real sore one on you, though. That's some strong stuff in there, okay? If you don't have this or you can't afford this right now, the other option I would say is to put straight oregano in a glass. And why am I using glass? Because we have such potent oils here, just like osmosis. Osmosis, what? The stronger substance pulls in the other. So this is a stronger substance, and this is going to pull in whatever else is sitting in your plastic bowl. If you use a plastic container, it will pull in the plastics and everything else made in China, okay? You do not want to put that in your body. So I would suggest you do ceramic or glass, okay? And if you really don't have that wood, those little wood bowls, that's another great alternative. At least you're going to get some, you know, some nature back in there. Okay? So a little bit of coconut oil. Just going to show you how to do this real quick. A little bit of coconut oil, about a spoon, not even a spoon. You don't need much. Okay, this is if you really want to detox every day and you're having a hard time taking the pills. Maybe that's way too much for you. Some people cannot swallow pills. All right, and this is a drop of oregano. I would just make your own drop of oregano. Okay, another one that's really good to detox, turmeric. Okay, turmeric smells awful. I will just warn you. Just this alone out of the bottle, thank goodness my nose isn't working because this is just awful. But it's so good for you. All right, and this is pretty ancient Hawaiian remedies right here. Okay, it's known to be eaten in a lot of ancient cultures. Let someone in. Turmeric is known to be eaten in a lot of ancient cultures for inflammatory. Okay, inflammatory is also one of the major reasons why people are getting sick or having disease or having brain fog. If you can't think clear, and if something's going on where you're having a hard time concentrating, memory loss, that kind of stuff, a lot of it is that you have an inflamed tissue somewhere. Your tissues are on overdrive, and this is helping to calm it down. Turmeric helps to calm down inflammation. It also helps anti-parasitics, okay? So it also helps to get out whatever's in there that's not supposed to be there, and it's a huge immunity booster for your body, all right? So a lot of people don't like turmeric because it tastes really strong if you've seen the root, okay? So the reason why the oil works is that you don't have to eat it, and you can mix it with other things that do smell good, okay? So I'm gonna put a little balance in there just to kind of offset the smell. But also, here's another thing. Balance has a lot of woods in it. Woods. Anyone know why woods are so good for the system? It's not that they're necessarily medicinal, but do you know why woods are so good for you to have in your system? Okay, so Ash says, be careful if you're pregnant for the heavy cleansing. Okay, so this is great for those who are pregnant. You can do this as an alternative, okay? I would just take that mix, rub it down up and down your spine or even your low gut, okay? As long as it's mixed with a little coconut oil, you should be okay if you're pregnant, because otherwise it'll be really intense if you're not, okay? And if you are pregnant and you feel like this is not enough for you, you could just move up from this, just a straight probiotic, okay? The only reason why I'm going to tell you to try to clean out your gut first is that you want to have as much out of your system before your florals can really do the work, okay? So I would do 10 days of this first and then add in your probiotic. But if you're pregnant, you might want to just go straight to this and instead rub on some oregano, some turmeric down into your gut area every day and just let that soak in and kind of detox gently. Okay. Another thing for pregnant women, or if you're having a sensitivity, straight lemon in the water, of course. That always help you to detox every day. Okay. But here we go back to the woods. The woods, this is where your mental health comes in. If you're stressed out, your body starts creating poisons in your body. Your mind is powerful. Yeah. Your mind will either create happy drugs in your body or will make poisons in your body. Right? And I'm sure most of us know this by now. We've been stuck in COVID reading all kinds of things online, but this has been proven for years. And just like a placebo effect, when you tell somebody, hi, this is going to make you better, a lot of times just them thinking that they're going to be better makes them better. Not that that is how we're going to cure you all, but I'm just showing you the power of the mind here, okay? What you can do with your mind will show up in your body. So if you feel junk, like I sound junk, but I feel okay. So my body looks and acts okay. It's now just in here. Okay, this means I am not sleeping because I have 3 children and none of them have been sleeping, hence I'm still like this. But but what is it that your mind can do for you when you're, trying to recover for something or trying to teach your body how to get better? If you can put something into the mind to calm it down and make all the stress go away, the stress on your body that it's creating will also lessen. And that is a proven fact. That is just straight science. That is multiple years of testing. That's what doctors can tell you alone. Okay, so that's why you're supposed to rest. Why are you supposed to rest? Because then your body can relax and stop stressing. Yeah. So woods really help to calm down the mind. Oh, Alexis is coming back in. Okay. So woods really help to calm down the mind, but there's a little secret about the woods that I was going to tell you also. Woods really help with your memory. They also really help with respiratory, okay, your respiratory system. So some people can think I'm pretty controversial, but I have studied some Eastern medicine. I used to do a lot of acupuncture before COVID hit and we weren't allowed to touch people anymore. I used to love acupuncture and massage, and I used to go to a couple of friends that were really versed and knew what they're doing. I've also just read a lot. I love my history of psycho. I love history, and I love ancient remedies. I've got a book on Hawaiian ancient medicinals as well. Okay, and what is it about Lomi Lomi? What is it about acupuncture? What is it about all of these ancient practices that they teach you? You have an energy flow within your body. You have something called the meridian lines, if you want to look that up. It's actually really hard to find natural medicine stuff right now. Everything's flooded with like anti-COVID everything. So if you can't find it, library book, you can still look at like old thrift books and so forth, but there is something called a chi, or an energy flow within the body. And it acts like your electrical, it's like you plug in to the electric. Okay. What is it that you're plugging into? It's energy. And I know that sounds pretty new agey. I'm not very new agey. I am just, telling you what I've learned over the years and what has worked for me. Why is yoga so effective? Why do simple moves like stretching, why does that feel so good? What we're doing is we are taking all the different pieces of your body and allowing them to connect. Okay, so it's like if you have a piece of string that has a knot in it and you were to work out that knot and suddenly you feel longer. Yeah, and suddenly the rope works better. Okay, it's the same kind of thing. Your body has a flow. Okay, And if there are crinks and nuts and things that are blocking that flow, it's going to stop parts of your body from being able to stay well or continue on. This is what causes a lot of inflammation. Besides stress, it's actual physical things stuck in your body that your stress creates or that your body has created, okay? So how do you get that out besides just detoxing your gut? You want to move. You actually have to move in a way that is going to release that. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit and show you a little bit of that soon. But woods in particular help to release a lot of the respiratory stuff, which is kind of interesting. Phlegm, congestion that gets stuck inside our lungs, that gets stuck inside here, and also your bones. Okay, Siberian fir in particular. Something about the firs. Siberian fir you can eat, by the way. This is one of the best. I think this is like a little secret oil that a lot of people don't know, but this you can eat, and this helps to strengthen your bone material. Okay, I'm not going to tell you exactly how because I'm not a scientist, but something about Siberian fir does help with bones. Okay, and also there's a bone nutrition supplement that if you're a woman, I think you should definitely be taking this. Why? Because when we, even if you haven't had kids, we're not taught really to replenish so much of our bones in the way that we should, but you need to have minerals in addition to calcium in order for it to be absorbed. And a lot of people are just told calcium. They don't realize that you have to have a binding mineral to help that happen. Okay, but what is it about your bones that is so important to your overall health? A lot of our disease ends up getting to our bones, which is really the scary part. When you have an autoimmune, it can eat itself all the way to the bone. And that's super scary because our bones are essentially how we're able to stay afloat, right? And if something is brittle in our bone, then it can't sustain our body to even stand. Okay? And so what is it that is eating at your, what is it that the body eats from the bone when it has an autoimmune and it can't get, when it can't absorb from the outside? What is it that is eating from the inside? It's the minerals, it's the blood essence. There's blood, bone marrow that has like the best of your blood in there, right? It has things like magnesium, calcium, iron deposits. Those are, your bones carry like the densest sources. So you need an overall support system, right? Just like you can't just work out your upper body because your lower body is just as important. Okay, it's the same thing. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna help my gut, but forget my bones and yeah, forget my heart. Like that doesn't matter. It all matters. It all matters. It's all connected. And if one part of you is sick, that poison is gonna get into the rest of your body and make you sick. Okay? All right, so now that we've touched upon those things, another thing about woods. Woods in ancient time, there's a few that Native Americans consider to be very spiritual. One is called sandalwood. You've heard of that? That they grow this in Hawaii. So if you get doTERRA's one, you're actually buying from Big Island. You're supporting local. Thank you. Aborte. That's another one. This is Native American. So I'm actually not Hawaiian, but I'm from here, and my kids are Hawaiian. I am Native American, so I know a little bit about some of the Native American stuff, just from some research and some friends. And trees. Trees do help memory. Well, that's what's taught in all ancient tribal land, that there are memories that we can actually help invoke by having certain types of trees in our system. So they used to praise this tree. Native Americans did, aborte, because not only was it an anti-bug, helped keep pesticides away, but this helped with vaginal support. Isn't that interesting? This helped with all your vaginal organ, like sex organs. Not that they would eat this in this form. You can't eat this in this form. I think that's a little bit dangerous for you, but you can definitely rub this in, same thing. Drop into a bowl with some coconut oil, rub all around in that gut area to try to help, like, support that system, run it down the spine, your feet also, even just taking a bath. If you were to take a bath with oils, You're at least getting some of that soaked into your system, okay? Why is it that they believe that this tree, and Frank, oh my God, where's my Frank? It's over there, frankincense. Why is it they believed that they were so good for you spiritually? Well, apparently they believed that, when I say they, the natives I'm talking about, they believe that all nature carries memories and can talk to you. And that if you are listening, it'll help you remember what is ancient of our generations, like ancestry wise. Okay, so this is supposed to invoke deep knowledge and wisdom and understanding of the ancients. Same with sandalwood. They had a similar belief, except that this is supposed to help with testosterone balancing, which I don't know, maybe that explains why Big Island boys have so many babies. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just in the air. They're just breathing in sandalwood and it's just like igniting their testosterone. I don't know. But the fact that trees are supposed to help with your sex organs, those hormones, it's supposed to help with the hormones that are related to your sexual fire. Okay. And sexual fire is super important. And a lot of people don't give enough credit to that. In a lot of ancient worlds, if you did not have sex, you were not considered healthy. You needed some sort of sexual relief. Why is that? There's so much pent up energy that is considered creative energy, and that's supposed to be where that chakra creativity sits. It sits in your groin, and that energy, if you're not using it, becomes aggressive, and it becomes like angry, resentful, or opposite, you become very like internalized and depressed. So to get the most out of your experience in life, you're supposed to be able to use that creativity, not that you necessarily have to have sex, but that you need to be using that fire, that creative movement in you. And this is supposed to help invoke that, okay? And not necessarily Frank, but Frank brings you to the mindset where you're supposed to be able to calm the mind and have some sort of like deep understanding. Basically, anything that can calm you to the point where you can listen to what inside of your body is saying is considered spiritual in ancient world, right? And so if you look at all the temples back in the day, they all have a line of frankincense in a lot of their temple burnings, which is where incense comes from. Incense comes from frankincense, from what they burned inside of their temples, okay? And a lot of Native Hawaiians use sandalwood spiritually as well, or the forte, okay? So to get yourself to hear the hormones or let the hormones be reactivated, okay? And that's a lot of your vitality right there. It's not just having enough minerals so that your body can sustain itself. It's not just having enough nutrition so that you can sustain itself. It's also the hormones, right? You need those hormones to be moving so that you have that energy in life. That is what actually pushes people forward, is having a creative drive. If you have no reason to live, you have no reason to move. People don't just get up every day just for no reason. You have to have something that makes you want to be alive. It makes you want to move. It makes you want to, try hard and actually do something better. Okay? And so what is it that we need? We need something to ignite us there. And that's where the heartache comes in. All right. So I have a friend that's a doctor here in Honolulu. And he went to Yale, and he's Indian. And he had to get his doctorate in both India and in America. And he grew up in both India and on the East Coast. And we were talking about how different the Eastern medicine approach is. Okay, and I have another girlfriend who studied a lot of Chinese medicine in China, and same thing. There's such a big difference. But you know what the biggest difference is in the way that they conduct their medicine, or they used to anyway, is that doctors would come to your house, okay? There used to be like a community doctor, or just same thing with tribals, right? You would have a shaman or somebody that was close to your family. Everyone knew each other. Everyone cared about each other, to the point that your doctor came to your house regularly, and they would see your lifestyle as the entire analysis, instead of just, oh, you have this symptom, let me give you this remedy. Oh, you have this symptom, well, try this drug. No, a lot of time it was, oh, open the windows in your house because you're not getting enough fresh air. And oh, you're not having anyone help you with the kids, and that's why you're overwhelmed and you're getting extremely ill, right? This was the kind of doctrine that they would have as their analysis. And so my Indian friend was talking about how, and he's a really well-known doctor at Kaiser. I'm not going to mention his name because he doesn't want to be in trouble for saying this, but most of the time he feels that the American way of doing things by just remedy to solve a symptom, he said it doesn't make the symptoms go away. All it does is prolong it so that you deal with it later. What is the way to actually deal with the symptom? He said it's always emotional. It's always having to talk down to the point of where is your pain? Where is your stress? Okay, and a lot of times it's been years that we've been taught to ignore it, to the point that by the time we talk about it, it is so far lost, we don't know what the pain is. We don't know what causes this that happened at age 15, right? We don't remember, or we've taught ourselves to forget it, or it's been so long that to revisit that is just far too painful. But this is truly how to get to the root of your problem, is you have to go in to where the stress started. Did it start because you felt too pressured from college life and you became so stuck on, trying to get the work done that you completely ignored all your social life and, became lonely, and then this cycled? Maybe. Is it because you had a breakup that was so painful that you never got over and then you ended up marrying someone else right after? Maybe. Those are all the type of things that doctors in ancient world would ask and third world countries ask. They actually come in and look at your life and they're like, well, this is caused because you're sad or, yeah, your dad died 10 years ago and then you keep having headaches since then. Well, obviously, like, you're in pain. How do you remedy this pain though? This is where a lot of people don't know. This is where people just keep on avoiding it. Why do we avoid our pain so much? Right? Because we don't want to feel the pain. It's too much to handle. It feels too overwhelming. Okay. How is it that we can help ourselves get through that? Citrus bloom right now is probably the best one. This stuff is amazing. Okay, I can barely smell this right now, but it's wonders. What is it that our heart does to the body when it's sad? Does anyone know? Heart disease, strokes, heart failures are the #1 reason that people die in the Western world, more than anything else. Have you seen those stats? Heart disease, heart failure is blood clots that heart can't handle, right? Heart-related problems is the #1 killer in the US in particular. I don't know if you've seen those stats. That says a lot, okay? But the heart itself is actually a very strong organ. It's very, very strong. It'll still beat if you're dying from other issues. It can still beat for a long time. You can keep that going. The heart is so strong. What is it that really can kill the heart? And I'm talking physical heart, but this is related. It's related. There's a reason that back in the day, or that and even now all around the world, it's considered the heart chakra that is supposed to be the most powerful in the body. There's different chakras that align around different organs. Your heart chakra is supposed to be what controls your ability to feel, to love, to receive. And it also fuels our ability to stay alive more than anything else. Okay, which is ironic because the heart is why we stay alive. Without the heart, everything else fails, right? You can have a limb cut off, you can lose, you can have a kidney fail, you can replace your liver, you can replace a lot of it. The heart is so crucial to your survival. Yes, you can have brain damage, but your heart will still keep your body going without your brain knowing it. Yes? So what is it about the heart that it does to your body? Ancient wisdom. I went to one of my many guru practices. There is a practice in a lot of different Asian cultures that if you tap in the body, you actually can release a lot of your pent-up stress, okay? Anyone who can't open their chest, and I wasn't able to for a long time, there is a tension that happens in your chest when you have anger, resentment, or pain from heartache, or from not feeling loved. When you don't have enough love coming in or out of your chest, it is tight. And there's especially a pain inside of that chest bone, that breastbone right in here. It'll be really hard to stretch out, okay? And so some of my friends that are ancient medicinal healers have studied it, and the ones that I've been to that are from Asia, whenever they would have me stretch out like this, for the longest time, I could not. It would get too stuck. And they could tell me my life just by reading my body. They would say, oh, you had deep pain. It happened at this time. They could read how long it happened before that. And they could even say, oh, this was a man. This was your parents. This was this. Okay. There is a message that your body sends out. It does. Your body talks. Your body leaves clues. What hurts is going to stay in there. Yeah. Okay. So the more that I learned to talk about my pain and cry, the more I could do this. I actually could stretch, and I was a ballerina, and I went from being able to like contort and conflex to not being so constricted and not being able to open my body in my like 18, 19, and that is just what happened, right? What happened there. And the more that I could talk about it, and then I could cry about it, I was finally able to be flexible again and stretch out again and move and have all of that deep breathing pain go away. And I used to have asthma too. I had asthma for a long time as a kid. It went away as soon as I was okay talking about breakups, talking about what bothered me. As soon as I could finally sit down with someone and safely feel like they cared, and I could actually talk about how much I hurt over a boyfriend, or how I wish I had been acknowledged for something, or how I felt so abandoned, or once I could talk about that somewhere safe, my asthma went away. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, 17 years of asthma gone within like 6 months. Okay, I'd also had about 10 more pounds on me, and I've always been a small person. It was affecting my job. Um, I was a model, and I was having a harder time getting work because I couldn't get the weight to go away, and I had to cry it out in a spiritual center for like 4 weeks straight. um, they had me show up at 4 in the morning every day to do yoga, to pray, and to cry. And I did that every day for about 4 weeks, and I lost 10 pounds in 4 weeks doing nothing else. I didn't change my diet. I didn't change my house, my life, nothing. I didn't run more. I just learned how to talk, cry, and stretch. And stretching, like I was going to tell you about your detox, what does stretching do to your body? It helps to get the toxins out of your system, okay? So a lot of us hear about exercise, and we think it has to be so rigid. It doesn't. If you can't run right now because you're in too much pain or you're too sick, don't run. Instead, I would say just stretch on the ground, and I'm going to show you right now. Some basics. Don't mind my room. Guys, I got 3 kids I can't handle right now. Need them to go to school, and then I can clean more for you. But I'm going to just do this. Okay. No, that's not working. How about this light? Is that good? Sorry about my crutch. There we go. Okay. What are some things you can do to help release and detox that are easy? Okay. And this is where peppermint will do you good, or helichrysum. Helichrysum is one of the best oils you could possibly invest into. This helps to not only let your congestion open and your senses breathe, and it doesn't have any sting to it. There's no, like, you're not going to feel a peppermint and herb or nothing. It's so gentle. But this also helps with pain, all kinds of pain, okay? But because it's a flower, flowers help heartache, and all flowers help heartache. So rose, jasmine, lang lang, Oh goodness, I'm going blank here. Magnolia is a big one too. So magnolia is a more affordable flower oil if you need one of those. They all help with heartache, okay? Because flowers help to go to the deepest part of your brain and release and relax that, right? But also, there's something about flowers that make us what? Feel loved and feel okay to cry. It does evoke a senses that other things cannot. It does evoke something in us that other things cannot. And there's a study on this. It's just like how certain music being played, right? It makes us just ooh inside. Flowers can do that same thing. Okay. All right. So some stretches. And the reason I brought up if you wanted helichrysum or deep blue at this time, whenever you are first starting to stretch and release, you might have a lot of pain because you're not used to it. Okay, so I would say in all the joints or all the areas that are going to be tight, like this is where I know this looks hard, but if you were to just do like a cross leg and sit like this for a while, what you're doing is you're going to feel a tension come out up here. Okay, when you're pressing like this, there's a tension that releases in here. You are detoxing, okay, a lot of things out of all of your systems, lymphatic. Okay, so where's your lymphs? Lymph nodes, all the places you stink. Lymph node here, lymph node under here, lymph node in your groin especially, okay? And that one doesn't usually get emptied because we don't talk about it. People are so ashamed to talk about that area. Don't be ashamed. How do you release that groin area? Stretches like this, okay? And if you can't go far, don't go far, but just holding it until you don't feel so much pain in there, that you are helping to release all that stuck energy, toxins, and your fat cells. Your fat cells, if they get circulation, a lot of what your fat is holding onto is negative toxin. So if you can circulate out, then the fat cells can start to melt off too. Okay. All right. So little stretches every day. Just trying to release a lot of that pain. Okay. You don't have to go running. Just try to stretch every day. Right. Just hold it. Like this one hurts for me right now. So I would just hold it until I don't feel as much pain. Try that 10 minutes a day. Okay. And even just things like letting your head drop so that the blood can rush and you can have that circulation again. It goes through your brain, gets out of your system, okay? This is helping to stretch the back of the legs. We carry a lot in our legs, and our legs go to back up into our spine. Okay, so those are things I would say do every day just to start getting out all that release. And try to use some flower oils to let yourself cry. Let yourself cry it out. Flowers, either just smelling it. I just keep one in my purse. We need to cry. We need to release emotions, and people do not teach us that. We're taught opposite. We're taught opposite, especially I think in Hawaii, we're taught to just tough it up and, that life is hard and life is expensive. You got to just handle, and I think as women, we're taught to just take it all on too. We're supposed to be everything nowadays, right? We're supposed to make money. We're supposed to have kids. We're supposed to look hot. We're supposed to be sexy. And we're not supposed to ever break down, and we're going to do all our chores and have the house nice too. This is just so much to carry. And if we're not honestly releasing how much that stresses on us, then it's going to make us sick. I definitely have too much going on my plate. Hence my mom took my kids. So if you can't get the help or the release that you need, that is really, I think, where the disease starts, okay? And I'm not talking about physical help. I'm talking about if you can't have that safe place to talk where somebody cares and you actually feel like somebody's listening, I think that's where this circle is so important, because this is partly what drew me into this circle for doTERRA, was that I actually felt there was some good women here that really gave a shit, and that I could actually sit there and cry, or I could really just say, I'm not feeling good today, this is what's happening, And even if they can't physically do anything for me, they could be like, okay, well, I know this oil that feels amazing. Try to fuse this and then just hear me out, right? And I think that's where this circle has been really important. And this is partly what's kept me in it, even though I can't always push sales and I can't always do the best in my biz, but I know that I can trust people in this circle. And that has helped me a lot. And I think that that is one thing that is very unique to doTERRA that you don't always find in other circles, is that you find people who really care about connecting and having meaningful relationships and having long-term care for each other. That is not just a 6 month to 10 month or when it's good. No, even when it's shitty, they're going to be like, hi, okay, let's make an appointment to talk, or let me send you this rose sample because I swear you're going to feel better, right? And it's so important that we find friends that we can do that with, because we can't always find that in our spouse and we can't always find that in our families. So sometimes we have to create our own families of safety that we can put that in. But I will tell you that if you can't get that space, what does work is flowers and elevation. Elevation is another one that's amazing. It has clary sage in it. Clary sage is amazing for women also, for any hormonal support. But this also has Melissa. And Melissa is a really amazing oil in autoimmune and any type of like deep need for recovery. I would suggest, if you can't afford Melissa, Melissa's like 135, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's expensive. And if you can't afford that one, this one is, I want to say, I think it's like 37 still, or 42, something like that. Use your points. Yep, use your points. But not everybody has points, right? So not everyone has points right away that they can just buy Melissa. So if you can't get Melissa, this is like the next best thing. Elevation has Melissa in it. It also has clary sage in it, which is super calming for all women, everything. For your skin, it helps with your hormones. It helps with your stress level. It helps with milk if you need some like milk replenishment for babies. Okay, but it also has the strongest reboost system oil, which is Melissa, that we have right now, besides Yarrow. Okay, so Melissa is a huge one. A lot of people who have problems getting pregnant with fertility, like Ashley, I know she had incorporated Melissa in to help her get pregnant the first time. But it's also really good for just all regenerative, like anything that needs to have strengthening in your system, Melissa can address. Okay. Yarrow is another one that's really good for you to replenish and kind of strengthen your system. If you take it in a pill form, then you can really have your entire body experience it one time. Or there's a body serum that I personally love, and that helps with anything like looking young, getting the wrinkles to go down. And why is this important? Why is this important to heartache or to disease prevention? Why does it matter how you take care of your hormones or how you look? It's not that you need to look pretty, it's that you need to feel pretty. That is really the difference here. When you feel good about yourself, you don't care about things, right? When you feel like you look good, when you feel like you look better, or you feel like your skin is soft, when you feel sexy, all of a sudden, right, the boys come to the yard. Yeah, it's the same thing in life, right? When you feel good, when you feel better about yourself, then life just gets better. And it's because we no longer are stressing up here. We're suddenly starting to put the other chemical in. We're starting to be like, oh, I smell good, or I look good, oh yeah, my skin is so soft, or my wrinkles are leaving, or I'm looking like 5 years younger. And that feeling starts pumping out the good hormones. Okay, so I don't know how long we're supposed to go, Ash. Pretty soon? Pretty soon? Okay, so I'm just going to touch on addictions real quick then, because we talked about heartache, we talked about just overall disease. I do not have any personal addictions that I can share with you, or I would, I promise. I share everything. I'm very open. However, I will tell you that I lived with an addict, and I didn't know that they were an addict a couple times. So one was very, very close to home, like in my home. part of my family for a long time. And I had suspected behavior, but you know, I couldn't quite pin it. And I'm not one trying to guilt trip people. So I just was trying to figure out what was going on. And when I finally did realize what was going on, it was far too late. This person is so stuck in the addictions that really it's just waiting for them to be ready to do something about it. But I've been able at least to talk with not just them, but about 5 other friends who've struggled with addictions, all different types. I also come from a family of strong addicts, so a lot of my dad's side has been in and out of rehab. So I've been able to hear a lot of stories growing up. And I don't want to go too far because I know this is like a long class, but I'll just go in for like another 10 minutes, okay? And then we're good. Addiction is always starting from emotion, from what I've heard. From everyone that I've talked to who's been in rehab, I have sat in on AA and I've sat in on Al-Anon. Al-Anon is a support group for anyone who's going through an addiction. So it's like the spouses, the parents, the children of those who have an addiction problem have their own support group because they can't handle the crazy. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this alone. You can't. It's so exhausting. And the reason why it's so exhausting is that a lot of times they've never been able to face the pain. It's that deep. It's usually very traumatic. And so they've just covered it over and over with something, okay, which is usually the case. If it's not one thing, it's something else. It's running away from the problem continuously by drowning themselves into something else, okay? And that's really hard to love somebody who does that because it basically is just lies that continue, that avoid the truth, okay? And so this is where oils do really help physically, but then once you get past the physical part, they have to actually deal with the emotional part. So I'm just going to brief real quick. What is it that people are usually running from that are causing the root of the problem? It's usually always feeling abandoned, either as a child or later in life by someone they love. It's either being beaten physically, to like where somebody physically hurt them. They could actually have a damaged part of their body, brain or injury that has never recovered, which causes pain. And they've just learned to swallow that pain and take something to cover it up, which is often how people get into addictions for opiates, because there's a pain physically there that they are just covering to get through their day because nobody will help them because they don't know how to talk about it or they've been told to shut up and swallow. Yeah. Then there's also some sort of traumatic event that has scared the shit out of them, like seeing a car crash and everyone die, or watching somebody murder someone else, or seeing, you know, a birth that a baby came out where they were dead already, or experiencing a loss of some kind. It's usually experiencing a loss of some kind, whether it's like a physical loss or a family completely splitting apart, or it's you know, a humiliation, like maybe they have a learning disability as a child and they were humiliated completely as a child, and then this is just coped continuously. Okay, so it's always something to do about what? Not feeling complete. And it usually has to do with love or physical pain. Okay, so there's either physical pain or there's a heartache pain. So again, we're going back to the same things. So how do we heal this? If the addiction is already there, here's some things that have helped that I've heard. I had a really really nice experience with recently. I was actually dating a guy who he admitted how many addictions he'd had due to a couple things. This is one of my many addiction stories of others that I've met. He had a girlfriend who was cheating on him so much, he just never got over it. And he ended up addicted. And she was into drugs and he ended up into it too. And the girlfriend died. And that was the biggest wake-up call, right, for him, was you're going to die if you don't stop this lifestyle. But how did this even start to the point where he stayed with this person is that he was so in love and he didn't feel like he could ever find that again with someone else. And so he stayed in it, and he just has never really gotten out of it. Okay. And so the addictions that he experienced from that have taken him years. He actually had to lock himself in a house for a year. He had to ask his parents in his 30s, he does his parents, if he could stay with them to get over his addiction. But I was really impressed that he even reached out and asked that, because some people in their 30s can't even admit that they need that help. So he, in his 30s now, right? This is not like 25, like this is in his 30s after he's lived his life and gone away, came back to his parents and asked if he could stay in their house so that he could get off of this. And in that time, we met about a year into this, and he specifically liked my doTERRA oils. And so he actually asked to have my diffuser because it's the only thing that made him feel better. Okay. After between dating someone else who loved him and then oils. And this is a man who did everything. He just done like every opiate. He's done all the, like every amphetamine. He's tried every psychedelic, and he partied hard. Oh, and he was super cute. Like he's had women. He's had lots of women, and nothing made him feel better except for nature in his face. And he said that, you know, oils were always like so exciting for him. And it was just so interesting to see that, especially from a man's point of view, who I thought was some, masculine, to really break down and ask for help and then say, I want all natural things to help me. And then was just so attracted to oils. And the things that attracted him was so interesting. He was a smoker, and there's a sheet that if you want it, I only have a few of these, but I can totally take a picture and send it to you guys if you want. But bergamot is, so this is a list of things that have worked for addicts that have like written a page together. This is actually old. This is like, I don't know, 5 years old. But I asked him if this worked, and he said this did. Bergamot. Bergamot is really helpful for all addictions because it really helps relieve the stress. It also is helps an antidepressant. So all citrus are kind of antidepressants. It also helps boost energy when they feel so down and they don't even want to get out of bed. But it also has a taste if you eat it. It also tastes a certain way that helps to kind of cut that need to have to taste something else. Okay, so especially alcohol, bergamot. Black pepper. Black pepper is a really strong one, but this helps with nicotine cravings. Okay, so anyone that's addicted to nicotine, my ex did dip. It's an awful habit, but I mean, I was like, what am I going to do? It's not as bad as some other things. So, and then this one that I was dating, he was a cigarette smoker. Black pepper and clove. They both help in that taste. That taste of nicotine. Clove is kind of similar, he would say. It's like a earthy. I'm not a smoker, so I don't really know, but he said that this did taste like that a little bit. And a little drop of this on the tongue or in the teeth. If you notice, smoking can really, deteriorate your gums and so forth. So this also helps to replenish your teeth and your gums, clove. Okay, so it's in On Guard, but straight on clove is cheaper if you need to cut some money. It also helps with your oral sensitivity. So, you get really sensitive teeth when you've been doing a lot of, nicotine tobacco in the mouth. There's an essential vape that you can, yeah. So if you wanted to make your own version, you totally can. But these are some things that he would put straight on. Like there'd be days that he was craving and he was like, oh, give me that. Just like straight in the mouth, which is intense. But he said it helped at least to cut the craving and then make it not so sensitive. Okay. I'll take a picture of this too and send to you, but you can send this video to whoever you need. Also, the black pepper helps with cellular oxygen. Okay, with oxygenation, it helps with all the cellular levels, which is kind of interesting. So black pepper, it also helps to detox all the congestion in here, but it also helps with oxygenation. Can't speak very well with my nose today. and withdrawing. So the withdrawal is supposed to be the hardest part. It's not that people don't want to stop, but it's when you're withdrawing, right? That's when you start getting like the shakes because your body needs it, or just the stress or the, right? That really intense, like, need to touch something, have something, eat something, like can't stop thinking about it, and it hurts in the body a little bit, right? Um, Black pepper seems to help cut that a little bit. Okay, there's also a gum. We do have a gum. The Terra is a gum that's all natural. Slim and Sassy has peppermint and grapefruit in it. And grapefruit, just like all citrus, helps with the anti depression, but it also helps to cut that craving for sugar and that craving for so it's like the craving the body has to have something to feed it. Citrus can help that. But grapefruit in particular helps with the appetite regulating. So instead of the need to keep eating, I don't know if you've noticed that people that are going down on withdrawals, they want to eat sugar, a lot of sugar. So to cut that sugar craving, grapefruit can help. Peppermint can help too, but grapefruit particularly. All right. Rosemary, which is kind of interesting. Rosemary is really good for a lot of things, and it's a deep cleaning and a very good respiratory all over help for your body's immune system, but it helps with memory and concentration. Okay, so that's one of the other things too, is a lot of times when people have, especially in pills, so amphetamines, taking them long term over time, it does mess with your memory and your brain's ability to communicate and function. It can actually indeed cause, long-term damage. And so the long-term damage is a lot of times what also makes it hard for them to stop, because they feel like, well, what's the point? I'm already here. There's no way to reverse this or help my brain get back to normal. And there is. Herbs. Herbs help to restore memory, concentration, and woods. Okay, woods also help to restore memory and concentration and to repair a lot of that brain damage. Okay, so the rosemary helps also with intestines. So all the things that you've done to your body over time by taking drugs, right? That really ruins your insides. So how do you re-strengthen that? Rosemary can help with the guts, like forming your gut system. So rosemary's in On Guard. On Guard is a good one right here. You're hearing all of it, right? The clove is in there. Black pepper is not in On Guard, but it is in the capsule version. So if you got the capsule version, this has the black pepper in it. I believe so. I'm just checking. Yeah, it has black pepper and it has Melissa. So the On Guard capsules have all the things I just talked about. Okay, also has orange and rosemary, and has oregano. Okay, so this would be the best bet to start taking this. In addition to your probiotics to clean out your system, right? And Euro. But also the herbs in general, even eating them in your food, that'll help to kind of replenish whatever you've destroyed there. Okay. Soothing blends. This is where addicts really need help in anxiety. Okay, and a lot of it does, again, it's heartache related. It's guilt. There's so much guilt. There's so much internal dialogue happening to them. They can't calm down the mind. They can't calm down what's happening inside the head. It's just, there's all these thoughts going on. There's guilt, there's stress, there's frustration, there's a focus on the trauma. Once the alcohol wears off, once the drugs wear off, once they're remembering again how awful life was that they're running away from, right? This is where we need to get them through that hard time. That is the hardest part of it, is the getting through the withdrawal until everything can cease and begin again new. Okay, so that's where we need some emotional support and the stress support, things that can help to get through that. The soothing blend, deep blue, this can help with the actual physical pain. Okay, the shakes sometimes happen. Black pepper is really good for that too. Black pepper on the spine helps with the internal pain. Okay, geranium, any florals at all will help to just get through that anxiety and that stress. Okay, Roman chamomile is probably one of the best oils for the pain that doesn't have any other ting. Okay, so like the deep blue, if you put that on, it has peppermint, so it can make you cold. So if you want to kill the pain, but you don't want the cold, Roman chamomile. Also, deep blue has wintergreen, so it's kind of like intense on the eyes or the ears, but Roman chamomile, nope, there's nothing that you'll feel. It'll just kill the pain. It will. I used it after having all natural cramping with my babies, and it worked wonders. That worked more than any Advil or anything else. There's no side effects, and it's antiparasitic. It helps your liver. Okay, this is where Roman chamomile is huge. Roman chamomile is a little expensive, but I'll tell you, that is one oil that I think everyone should spend money on because it helps with pain, helps with parasites. Like if you were to find, you know, in your baby's bum some parasites, or even in yourselves, or especially right now, some people feel like there's so many different virus versions going around. This can really help just internally to kind of kick out whatever's not supposed to be in there. But it helps to calm all your anxiety and lets you sleep. This is one of the only oils that lets you sleep, which I know is part of why people drink so much, right? To get to bed. It's in Serenity, but Serenity you can't eat. Roman chamomile you could put in your water, drink it to bed. You can just, on your nose, pass out like 20 minutes. Okay? But it helps with your liver, which is really huge, especially for anyone who's done a lot of drugs or alcohol, even just prescription. If you've been just taking prescription drugs, like not, you know, anything intense, but just even like basic prescription for pain or anything like that, that kills your liver. So Roman chamomile is a good one for that, just to replenish and help that, okay? Same thing with lemon in your water or any citrus. Helps with your liver, helps with your kidneys, helps to get that acidic balance back in play, okay? And this takes time. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. Like, think of this as like your every 2-week process. Every 2 weeks, whatever you need at the time or whatever they need at the time, you're going to work with those oils. You're going to work with those emotions. And then the next set's going to come, right? And it's going to like have a different, it might take 2 weeks just for the physical chills to go away. And then once the chills are going away, then it's like, oh, now all the stress and the anger. And then after that, right, then maybe it's the crying and the realizing what we're running away from. So it's just going to be these periods of time, okay? The last thing before we go that I was going to tell you that really helps is the, thyme and, yes, peppermint. Peppermint can help, but also, oh, copaiba, sorry, copaiba. Copaiba is a cousin to weed. It is not going to give you any, it's not going to give you any of the excitement that, you know, weed or, it's like similar to CBD oil. They're not going to get that extra, but it's really good for nerves and of any brain damage. And this is also anti-anxiety and really helps calm the mind, but it also helps repair any of those nerve damages that are broken. It helps to repair and it helps to soothe any of the nerve pain. So a lot of people that do have pain and damage in their system, and especially like brain trauma, the stuff taken regularly will really help. And it has barely a flavor. It's like a really gentle dirt flavor. That's it. There's also a pill version of this. Okay, and this is also an adaptive. And this is totally safe for kids too. So copaiba is probably one of your other ones that would really help get through that. Okay, all right. We are definitely over time, and I think we covered it all. Any questions real quick before we get out of here? Okay, I'm going to send a picture of this to Ashley if anyone wants it. Okay? And the recording too. She'll have the recording. Okay, guys? All right, good. So glad I could help. All right, don't be ashamed. Yeah, don't be ashamed to talk about it. I think that is the biggest lesson in any of your illness. Get it out of your system. Bye, guys.